Welcome back, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. It's another Thursday. That means it's Gear Talk time. I'm Cody Booker, also known as Cab, also known as Cab652, also known as that guy with broadcast gaming, also known as that guy who doesn't really change his background at all because I barely ever go over there and touch anything that's hung up because I have a pile of clothes that I normally jump through that are clean because I don't feel like folding. Now that that's out of the way, we're going to be talking about Gears of War Ascendance today. That's right, we're talking about the book that's coming out. I mean, let's face it, we knew I'd be touching it because I did the same exact thing right now I did for Hivebusters, go through and talk about what's coming up. And chances are, once I get it and I read it, I'll be going through everything with Ascendance. Now, I'm going to have to break that into pieces because the books normally give a load of lore, like a heavy amount of lore we normally get. The comics do too, but normally the comics, when you have a story or a chapter, it's normally 20 to 30 pages long. This book, if I looked at it right, we're in the 400 for pages. I believe 464 pages are what we're going to get. So I will be breaking that into pieces. Maybe I'll go chapter by chapter. I don't know yet. I would like to go through the whole thing, but that'll be a really lengthy video. So right now, let's just talk about what we're going to be getting for Gears of War Ascendance. Now, Gears of War Ascendance, as of this video, is not out yet. It will be coming out, I believe, at the end of August, if I'm right. If not, I'll put a date down here. But I'm going to say end of August for right now. If I'm right, there won't be anything. If there is, you'll see it right here, as I normally put it. So, Gears of War Ascendance. Now, this is going to be the first book we're going to be getting of the new era of Gears, the new stuff involving the Swarm. This is going to be the first time we have anything novel-wise related to it. We've already gotten the comics that go over Hivebusters that is covering what's going on currently. And technically there was Rise of Rom that was released after 4, but Rise of Rom is all about pretty much how Rom rose to power in the Locust Horde. That's all about Rom. That's all about the original trilogy of games that came out and about how he became prevalent in the first game, and technically for Shadow of Rom that came out, or Rom Shadow that came out in 3 as a DLC, but we're not talking about that right now. We're going to be talking about Gears of War Ascendance, and just so happens I have the entire pretty much synopsis of what we're going to be expecting right here on my phone. So let's dive in. Following Reyna Diaz's death at the hands of the Swarm in Gears of War 4, Kate seals her mother's tomb and swears revenge. As she, JD, Del, Marcus, Cole, Samantha, and Baird lick their wounds and resupply, First Minister Jin summons them to the New Ephyra, promising them that the crimes they committed will be forgiven. Before they can rejoin the Coalition, however, Jin demands proof of their loyalty and of the threat of the Swarm. Promising a new command, JD and Del agree. Plagued by nightmares, Kate rebels and refuses, obviously. When she discovers the 2 teens from her devastated village have survived, she goes rogue and strikes out to rescue them, accompanied by Marcus Phoenix. Pursued by the robotic DBs, Kate and Marcus search for survivors. Instead, they find an overwhelming force of the enemy and an unexpected ally. Meanwhile, JD and Del lead a mission to locate the Swarm, only to be cut off from New Ephyra. Trapped and surrounded, they're on their own. Picking up where Gears of War 4 left off, Gears of War Ascendance is the official action-packed bridge between the game and Gears 5. So I hope you enjoyed that. Normally I don't get a chance to read a bunch of text that come up on screen, but there you go, I got to do it this time. So, things we can gather from what we got off of that. First thing I have, and I wrote down my little pointer notes right here, so don't mind me if I look down. The first thing we ended up getting was Del and JD returning. Now this one, you would think, oh, they would because they were part of the COG originally. But remember, Del was the one who wanted to get out of there and JD followed him. They went AWOL and they left. They didn't want anything to do with it anymore. And we already know we're going to get more information on what happened at Settlement 2 and 5. That's been stated. We're going to learn about Settlement 2. But the thing is Del and JD seem really like, I'm sure they're going to mention in the book they're a bit hesitant, but they're up for going back. Well, Kate's straight up like, no, obviously it's Kate. What do you expect? I don't expect anything miraculous. What I didn't expect is Marcus is joining her. Now, I know why he is. He's going to rescue those 2 teens because Marcus is a man who does not leave people behind. He hates to do it. He will not do it. So he would go to rescue them. I'm sure he's going to for that reason, and he's not just like, oh, Kate knows what she's doing. Because we know that Marcus he didn't want anything to do with the new COG because of how they were running it and what their ideals were. He left because of that. I'm sure he would return like we saw in the Gears 5 trailer, the first one, but I think he's going to return under like, well, we have a bigger threat here. I can overlook that for now to take care of this. So Marcus and Kate going after them, I understand. It's JD and Dell. You know, you'd think that Dell would have a lot more hang-ups about coming back. Now, the next thing I had that I saw in there that really hit me was Jin. So Jin, we already know she's kind of a bitch, but she's kind of understanding the threat, which we understood at the end of 4. She understands the swarm are a thing. But what I really hate that they wrote in there was she understands it's a thing, but she doesn't understand like how major of a thing it is. The problem is that the DBs are out there fighting them, and I'm sure they have a sensor or something that says, hey, this DB's offline or something, so she knows the DBs are being attacked by these things. She obviously knew when she met JD Dell and everybody that something was going on when they were outside of, I forget the name of the town, but where you have to fight everyone off and you can meet up with Baird. You know, she obviously knew. She knew the swarm were a thing. She knew they were around, because she even said, hey, let's go back to New Afir and let's talk about this and figure this out. She obviously knew. Even JD says, you've seen them. So, you need to prove it to me. Why? You already know. You already know what the problem is here. You already know what we're dealing with. Maybe not on the wide scale that we know as the players and, you know, JD, Dell, Kate, and Marcus. But you obviously know. And that's just what really just makes you hate her even more. Why do you need proof of something you know about? And when the situation is going foobar, you're still going to sit there like, oh, well, I need to know. And then she sends the DBs after Kate and Marcus, which... Kate, I understand. Send the DBs after all. For God's sakes, kill her if you want. I don't really care. Marcus, though, you even state he's a war hero. And, you know, I would think that Jin would have some reservations in her mind of not killing Marcus. You know, maybe they're just going to go out with the enforcers that just stun. Maybe, I don't know. But if you got to deal with the swarm now, I mean, you would think that you would send out your heavy-duty boys. But the problem is, that means you got to deal heavy-duty boys against Marcus and Kate, so there's a chance you can kill them. So I'm really not enjoying Jin so much. But, I mean, we have to hate somebody. At least Prescott, you understood why he was a dick. Jin, she's just being a dick for no reason at this point. Now, almost the last thing before I close things off I do want to talk about kind of is... Well, I'll have one more thing, but for right now, I want to know who this help is going to be. Or this ally out of nowhere that's constantly brought up. We've heard this mentioned... You know, we've heard this mentioned for 5, we've heard this mentioned for Hivebusters, and now this book. I'm very curious what kind of help is coming to the Cog's way. Or not even the Cog, but like the people that are fighting against the Swarm. Because we already know the Hivebusters are like their own special kind of thing. The Hivebusters, they aren't like, they're not Cog, but they're not like outsiders or against the COG or anything. They're like the covert ops people, you know, and Hoffman's leading them. So obviously the COG knows and approves of what they're doing. Then you also have the Coalition themselves, who are going out and doing all that. You know, they're the Coalition. What do you expect me to really say about them? They're going out with guns blazing. Faz or Faze, I keep getting his name wrong. He's going out and doing that. The Outsiders, apparently, by what we know of for Kate's group at least, are at least going to be siding with the COG for whatever they're going to be doing, because I think it's understood at that point, because I don't know who would take charge after Reyna for that outsider camp, especially since by what we know there's only 4 survivors, the 2 teens, Oscar, and then we also have Kate, so I guess Kate's in charge of 3 other people, or maybe Oscar is, I don't know, but they're siding. We don't know about other outsider camps. And then there's the whole talk about, like, what about the former Stranded? What about all this? We don't know. So I want to say the help they might be getting may be coming from, like, former Stranded. It could be coming from other outsider posts. Could be coming from an old ally. We don't really know. But I am interested to see what this ally out of nowhere, this new ally, or this friend, or this old acquaintance, whatever they want to say it is. I'm interested to see who it is, or what group it is. So that's going to do it for this video. Pretty much this is just a setup for what I'm going to be talking about once Ascendance comes out, because I did the same thing for Hivebusters, except Hivebusters I go a little bit like chapter by chapter. This I'll probably need to figure out how I'm going to structure it, because I'm not really sure yet. But I am excited for this. We're going to get a lot more fleshed out about the Swarm especially. A lot more lore is going to be added. A lot of the weapons, like if you look at the cover art that we got for Ascendance, we're going to get to see the Claw. So the Claw is going to play a role in this book. We're going to at least see someone use it. I'm excited for that, and maybe they'll explain the emulsion crystals on it and all of that. So I'm excited to see how much the Swarm have evolved and where they're currently standing, because by the sound of it, this book takes place like right after 4. Now, by what we saw with 5... it seems like there's going to be a jump forward in time, or at least there's going to be events in the past. We're not too sure yet, because again, like when JD met up with Faz and everything, or Foz, however you want to say his name, that seemed like it was in the past. Current Gears seems further in the future. So that's going to do it for this video. I love all of you guys. Like, comment, subscribe. I hope you enjoy. Doesn't matter what time you watch this. It's always appreciated. I always love talking about this stuff. And if you have any questions, I have a comment section for that. And also ask the person to the left and or right of you, or anyone who feels like arguing or discussing in a YouTube comment section, like as you can see right below me. You guys have a great one. See you next time.